So we're looking at page 398, question 13, which is a story problem that we're going to solve together. It says Kendra hiked each day for a week. The first day, she hiked 1/8 of a mile. The second day, she hiked 3/8 of a mile. And the third day, she hiked 5/8 of a mile. The first question says, what is the rule for the distance Kendra hikes each day? Show how you can check your answer. So what we're going to do for this, we have to make sure that we're following the formula of VEAL. And VEAL stands for a visual, an equation, the answer, and of course, a label. Those are the things that you need for your story problem. For a story problem like this, where you have a pattern, your visual isn't going to be blocks or something like that. Your visual actually will be the pattern itself. So in this particular case, we're actually looking at the visual and the equation being connected together because your pattern actually ends up being your visual and the equation. So I'm saying, all right, day 1, she hiked 1/8 of a mile. Day 2, 3/8 of a mile. And day 3, 5/8 of a mile. Okay, that's my visual and my equation for that story problem. Now I'm asking myself for this first question, what is the rule for the distance Kendra hikes each day? In this case, it's actually quite a simple story problem because there's only one denominator. We don't have to actually change any of these denominators to be the same. They're already all the same. And I can see from the top, it's going from 1 to 3 to 5. And so for this question, I can answer by saying that it is increasing by 2/8 of a mile each day. But it actually can be simplified, so I'm not going to write this as my final answer. I'm going to write down that it can be, the rule is an increase of 1/4 of a mile every day. I'll actually write this in a complete sentence, so get rid of that. And I'll say increases one-fourth mile every day. That'll be my first part of question 13. The second part says, if the pattern continues, how many miles will Kendra hike on day 7? So here I am, I've got day 1, day 2, day 3. And so the question's asking me what's going to happen day 4, 5, 6, 7. What's going to happen here on this day? Okay, so I've got to picture what's going on. For the sake of what's going on, I'm going to go 1, 3, 5. I'm going to go to 7, 9, 11, and 13. And these are all 8s. Now, once I get to day 5, I start getting these improper fractions. I'm not really going to worry about translating this improper fraction into a mixed number, though, because the only number I'm really worried about is day 7, 13/8. So I'm going to take this one, and this is going to be part of my answer. I'm going to bring it down here, and I'm going to turn 13/8 into a mixed number. And the way I do that is I'm going to pull 8/8 out of this big fraction. So I'm actually going to do 13/8 minus 8/8, which will be 13 minus 8, 5/8. Now because I pulled this 8/8 out, it actually equals 1 whole, and that becomes my new mixed number, 1 and 5/8. So, for the answer to the question below, if the pattern continues, how many miles will Kendra hike on day 7? I can answer, she will hike 1 5/8 miles. In this particular story problem, it asks you to explain how you found your answer. Because you're writing the visual in the equation, because you have this being written out and all this written out, you don't actually need to explain because you're showing me how you explain. You're actually explaining by showing me what you did. So in this particular situation, all that you would have to do is have these visual slash equations ready. And that is how you solve question 13.